What's good? This is Trey, and the topic of this presentation is how to eliminate your fear of approaching women and how to make that happen in the next 21 days. All right. So let's talk about the fear of approaching women, right? If you're familiar with the pickup terms, there's this term called approach anxiety. And it's basically when you feel anxiety, you feel nervousness in your body when you see a woman you want to approach, right? And this is something that, pretty much every guy's gonna have to face. There's some guys who don't have it as much as others, right? There's different levels of how anxious or nervous you get. But, when you see a woman you find attractive, you're gonna feel some nervousness in your body. And for most guys, that will kind of dissuade them from approaching. They're not gonna want to approach because they're feeling that nervousness, right? And they don't want to walk up to a woman not feeling confident or not feeling comfortable, right? So this was an issue for me as well because when I decided I wanted to handle my dating life, I decided to handle it through going out and approaching women. And yeah, I had to deal with approach anxiety. I had to deal with the fear of, it's different fears, like it's combinations of fears. It's the fear of rejection, it's the fear of success, it's the fear of failure, it's the fear of looking stupid, fear of looking awkward, feeling awkward, the fear of embarrassment, fear of saying the wrong thing. There's so many fears all added together, right? And it's really just coming from a place of, you value that woman, right? Because if the woman was not attractive, you wouldn't experience as much fear, right? Or maybe if it was your friend, you wouldn't experience as much fear because you're not so, you're more comfortable with your friend. You're more comfortable with, someone who you know how they're going to respond, right? When it comes to like a random woman, that you see on the street or the mall or anywhere, you don't know how she's going to respond. You don't know if she's going to reject you. She don't know if she's going to be into you, right? And it's just like a lot of energy that's going to come from that interaction. And if you don't really approach women and talk to women like that, or even talk to strangers much, it's going to be tough. So what I recommend is, there's a process and I teach it, but I'm going to kind of give you the steps here so you can apply it on your own if you'd like. It's a 21-day process. And essentially what you do is you put yourself in, situations where you're exposed to that fear, you're exposed to that nervousness, but it's sort of like exposing yourself to it at a level that you can handle. So for example, if you see a woman you find attractive, if the idea of going up to her and asking her for a number is too much for you, you can start with something simple, like, asking her for the time, or asking her for directions, or asking her for her opinion on something, or maybe just saying hello, right? Basically doing something that you can do comfortably and is not going to spike up too much anxiety and nervousness in your body so that you find yourself avoiding the woman altogether, right? So that was the process I took. Like I decided, okay, I want to handle this fear of approaching women. So I decided, okay, I'm going to expose myself to this fear in doses, right? So for me, I even started off, talking to old ladies, talking to men and women, talking to girls I didn't find attractive. And I would just go up and, ask for directions or ask for the time, or maybe just say, hey, how you doing? How's your day? Simple things to basically get myself more comfortable with approaching strangers, right? Because we have to start there. We can't, approaching strangers is one thing, but approaching a woman you find attractive, that's much more difficult because, this is someone that you're interested in, right? If you find someone attractive, it's interested. So you care about the outcome, right? I talk about being detached from the outcome, but if you really find a girl attractive, you're going to have some care of what happens in the interaction. So instead of just, putting yourself through so much anxiety and nervousness and freaking yourself out, you can start with something more simple, right? So what I suggest is like, start off by just getting comfortable talking to strangers, right? So take the focus off of just women and get comfortable talking to strangers. Get comfortable saying hello or asking for the time or asking for directions, like simple things that are not too far out your comfort zone. Because, approaching a woman you find attractive, like randomly in the mall or the grocery store or whatever, like most guys can't do that, right? Like they might do it like for $1 million or something like that, but on their own, like just off of their own uh willpower, just because they think the girl's attractive, most guys won't do it. And as I said, there's a lot of fears attached to it. Fear of rejection, fear of looking stupid, fear of embarrassment, fear of people watching, all these different fears. But the truth is, if you want to overcome a fear, you overcome the fear by experiencing the fear, right? But you don't have to make it so miserable and so intense. You can take it one step at a time, which is what I suggest. Just start by asking for the time. Start by saying hello, talking to strangers, right? I have a systematic approach that I teach, but you can go about this on your own. Create your own little exercises. Like, okay, today I'm gonna go out and say hi to 5 people, or I'm gonna go out and say hi to 10 people. You notice I'm saying people, not just women. It doesn't just have to be women. It could be men and women. You want to get comfortable with talking to strangers. Then you look at, okay, after you do that, you look at it, you say, okay, how was I able to handle that? Was that too much nervousness? How did I feel? You look at it, you analyze it. This is after the fact, after you've done the approach and you went home. Okay, that wasn't too bad. So next day you increase the difficulty. Okay, this time I'm gonna ask 10 people for the directions. All right, so you're gonna ask 10 people for the direction. Oh, that wasn't too bad. Okay, this time I'm gonna ask 10 people for the directions. I'm gonna ask 3 women who I find attractive for the directions, right? You just keep increasing it. But the key thing is to be consistent. You don't want to just do it randomly here and there. You want to be consistently, going up to these women, going up to people and interacting with them. So you get comfortable with the process. And once you're comfortable with that, then it's a lot easier to, escalate up the ladder and get to a point where now you can approach women you find attractive with comfort and confidence. So, that's a way to do it. The key thing is like, if you want to get good at something, you have to do it. Like, don't run away from it. Like, that's what most guys do. It's like, okay, I feel fear when it comes to approaching women, so I'm just not going to do it. And the thing is, what you're doing is you're limiting your possibilities in life, because there's some women out there, amazing women that you'll see throughout your day. And if you don't have the ability to approach them, you'll never get to see what could have been. I'm not saying you could get every woman, but there's some women out there who are open to being approached by a man who is, comfortable and comfortable in his skin and confident and able to approach her in a decent way. You know what I mean? Where it's a good experience for her, not a negative experience. When you're nervous and anxious and stuff, you walk up to her, she's gonna feel that too, and that's why they reject you. It's not so much, oh, I'm not that good looking, or I'm not this, or I'm not that. No, the feeling that you gave off is repelling her. It's making her. You're actually motivating her to say no, because when you feel nervous and anxious, what you communicate to her is like, okay, this guy's not confident. There's something wrong. He's afraid of me. You're communicating all these negative things that you don't want to communicate. So I highly recommend you take the gradual route, the route where you gradually increase the amount of anxiety and nervousness you expose yourself to until you get to a point where you can comfortably approach women you find attractive, right? But it does take effort. It does consistency. I believe you can do it in 21 days, right? I have a specific system that I teach for that. But, you can create your own challenge. You could create your own 21-day challenge, your own 30-day challenge, 90-day challenge, right? A lot of it is consistency. You have to be consistent, because you have to basically train your mind and your body to understand that, okay, approaching a woman is not that bad. It's not that big of a deal. You do not have to have such intense response, in the in the sense of like your nervousness and stuff like that. You don't, that's not necessary, but you have to train your body and your mind to understand that. Because, you know, they say we have it hardwired in us to to fear rejection because, you know, supposedly back in the day, like caveman days and stuff, you know, small little civilizations and stuff, if you got rejected by a woman in the, you know, in the community or whatever, everyone would know about it, and then it would basically communicate that you don't have much value, right? Like you're not desirable, and so the other women would hear about that, and no women would want to mate with you, right? That's the understanding that I've heard about, right? We don't know how true that is, but I mean it does make some sense. But I mean, it doesn't really matter what the reason is. All we know is that there is a fear when it comes to approaching women, and it can be handled, right? You can get to a place where that fear is no longer holding you back, right? You can actually transmute that fear into excitement, right? You can reframe it, which is what I've done. You know, sometimes I'll see a woman I find attractive, and instead of like seeing the fear as a reason not to approach, I will use that as a reason to approach, because really all it's signaling to you is like, you know, this is an opportunity here, right? This is how I choose to look at it. I choose to look at it as an opportunity for growth. You know, that feeling of anxiety and nervousness is because you're about to do something that's outside your comfort zone, something that you don't usually do. And by doing it, you will grow. You will become stronger. You will become, you'll build more character. You'll become more courageous. But it's not an easy thing to do, and that's why I suggest you start with these little small action steps, you know, like asking for the time, asking for directions, and then building it up until you get to this point where now you can approach women you find attractive, no problem, right? And then once you get comfortable with that, that's when you can really start having these great interactions with women and start getting their phone numbers and going on dates. But it starts with comfort, like, you know, this is actually very important. Being comfortable is extremely important because you're not going to be able to communicate and transfer your energy properly if you are not comfortable, right? The woman is going to feel like it's like you know, it's like you basically you're giving off whatever you're feeling, right? You're transferring it to her, so she will feel that nervousness and that anxiety. And even if she doesn't feel it, in the sense that she's not that nervous or anxious, but she can feel that you are, right? So it may not necessarily transfer in the sense that she'll feel it as her beingness, but she'll know that you are nervous and you are anxious, and to her that, you know, you're not communicating like strong masculinity. You're not communicating groundedness, and those are the things that women find attractive naturally, right? Like confidence, groundedness, you know, this carefree, relaxed vibe that, you know, I can handle anything. You know, those are attractive qualities. But when you are nervous and anxious and stuff, you're basically communicating to her that you're uncertain, you're insecure, you're afraid of whether it's her, or you're afraid of the environment. And how can she submit to a man like that? You know, that's you have to put yourself in the woman's shoes. So if you want to present yourself in the right way, you know, work on this. You know, like I said, start by asking for the time. You know, maybe let's say you start for the beginning of the week. Monday, I'm going to go out and I'm going to ask 10 women for the time. And then Tuesday, you know, I'm going to ask 15 women for the time, right? But Monday, when you ask the 10 women for the time, you know, check how you felt, right? If that was too intense for you, if that was like extremely hard for you to do, maybe cut it back to 5. Or maybe instead of talking to 10 women, talk to 10 people, right? So switch it up, men and women, right? And the mindset is really just becoming more social, becoming more, you know, developing more social freedom, right? Having the ability to interact with men and women freely, you know? And that's what that's going to do. That's going to clear up your energy. That's going to make you feel more comfortable and confident in your own skin. And when you communicate to a woman, it will allow you to be more grounded and more centered, and your communication will come across with more impact, and she'll feel it, right? And it will create attraction, you know, depending on the woman. You know, and depending on the other qualities that you're demonstrating. But one of the key ones that you want to have at the core is this ability to walk up to a woman with confidence. You know, maybe you do still feel a little fear or whatever, but it's something you have control of, right? Like the fear doesn't have you like shaking or unable to communicate or whatever. It's just there like as a signal. Okay, here's a woman you find attractive, like there she is, you know. It's just showing that you're a healthy man. But you don't want it to the point where it's crippling anxiety, to where you can't move or you can't talk or you can't do it, right? So I definitely recommend a gradual step process. Now, if this is something you're interested in, like you like this idea of, okay, just gradually building up, but you still feel like you'd like some guidance on that, like how to do it specifically, and also having some accountability, maybe someone to hold you accountable, go ahead and send me a private message, and I'll kind of show you, you know, how I was able to do this and how I'm helping other guys that I'm working with this issue of this fear of approaching women, right? You know, there's so much opportunity and so much abundance you can create with women once you overcome this fear. But it's not an easy thing to do, but it's definitely worth it. So if you're interested, go ahead, send me a private message, and let's have a conversation about it. Thanks for watching. Peace.